Have you ever walked away from a conversation with a strange feeling in your chest, like something was off, but you couldn't explain what it was? Maybe you said yes when you actually wanted to say no. Maybe you felt guilty, pressured, or confused, even though the other person acted perfectly calm. If that sounds familiar, then today's video may change the way you see people forever. Because whether we like it or not, manipulation isn't always intentional. Many people use psychological tricks instinctively, sometimes to get what they want, sometimes to protect their ego, and sometimes simply because that's how they were raised. Today, I want to take you on a deep, honest journey through the hidden psychology of human behavior. We're not talking about extreme cases or dramatic stories. We're talking about the subtle tricks that happen every day, with partners, with friends, with coworkers, with strangers, and sometimes even with ourselves. By the end of this video, you will recognize patterns that were invisible before. You'll understand people on a deeper level. And most importantly, you'll learn how to protect your mind without becoming cold or defensive. So sit back, relax, and let us go step by step into the world of subtle psychological manipulation, the kind that lives everywhere but rarely discussed. 1. The power of silence. When saying nothing says everything, one of the most powerful psychological tactics is silence. Most people think manipulation always looks loud: arguments, pressure, guilt trips. But sometimes, silence is far more powerful. Have you ever tried to express how you feel, and the other person just stared at you, emotionless, without responding? That moment of silence often creates anxiety. Your brain starts filling in the blanks. Did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Is it my fault? Without realizing it, you start apologizing, explaining, defending, even when you did nothing wrong. The person staying silent isn't always doing it intentionally. Some people use silence to avoid conflict, but others use it to gain control, because silence forces you to take responsibility for emotions that aren't yours. How to resist it? When someone goes silent, don't fill the silence with emotional labor. Instead, calmly say, "I've explained my point." When you're ready to talk, we can continue. You take back control by not chasing their approval. 2. Selective memory. When people remember only what helps them. Another subtle psychological trick is selective memory. When a person forgets things that don't support their narrative. For example, they might clearly remember every small thing you did wrong, but completely forget what they promised. Or they remember your tone, your words, your mistakes, but not theirs. Is it manipulation? Sometimes yes, but sometimes it's the brain protecting the ego. When someone doesn't want to feel wrong, guilty, or responsible, their memory becomes strangely flexible. They're not lying. They're rewriting reality to feel better about themselves. How to protect yourself? Don't debate memory. Debating memory always ends with frustration because memory is emotional, not logical. Instead, focus on the present. This is how I remember it. Let's talk about what we can do now. This shifts the conversation away from emotional distortion and back to reality. 3. The confusion technique. When someone gives you too much information at once, this is a classic psychological tactic used in sales, arguments, and even relationships. Here's how it works. When someone wants you to agree to something quickly, they overwhelm you with information. Long explanations, fast-talking emotional pressure, many points mixed together. You don't have time to think critically. Your brain gets tired. Eventually, you just give up and say, okay, this trick is powerful because the brain hates uncertainty. When confused, it chooses the simplest path, agreeing. How to avoid it? Slow the conversation down. Ask one simple question. Wait, what are you actually asking me to do? This immediately forces clarity and destroys the trick. 4. Emotional anchoring. When someone links their feelings to your actions, this is one of the most common and most painful psychological patterns. Emotional anchoring happens when someone subtly connects their emotions to your behavior. For example, I'm sad because you didn't call me. I had a bad day because of what you said. I feel insecure because you didn't answer fast enough. This creates an invisible rule. You are responsible for their emotions. And once you accept that role, the other person gains tremendous control over you, even if they don't realize it. How to break it without being cold? Say calmly, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but your emotions are yours. I care, but I can't take responsibility for them." It's kind, clear, and honest. You don't sacrifice yourself to protect someone's emotional comfort. 5. The illusion of options. When you are given a choice that isn't real, this trick appears everywhere. Workplaces, relationships, negotiations. It looks like freedom, but it actually limits you. For example, you can do it now or you can do it later, but it has to be today. You can stay or you can leave, but you know leaving will disappoint me. We can talk calmly or we can fight. It's up to you. Notice the pattern? You are given options, but all options benefit the other person. This tactic is powerful because humans love feeling in control. When someone offers you a choice, it feels fair, even if it's not. How to defend yourself. Say, I'm not choosing from these options. Let's talk about what actually makes sense. This puts you back in control. 6. The guilt switch. When someone makes you feel responsible for their choices. One of the most common psychological tactics people use often, without even realizing it, is the guilt switch. It happens when someone makes you feel responsible for a choice they made. For example, I did everything for you, and this is what I get? I wouldn't be in this situation if you supported me. I sacrificed so much. The least you could do is agree. Notice something important. The person is not talking about the present moment. They're talking about their sacrifices, real or imagined. The purpose is simple, to make you feel like you owe them something. This tactic is powerful because guilt is one of the most uncomfortable emotions we feel. When guilt appears, people often give up their boundaries just to make it stop. How to stop the guilt switch? You don't argue with guilt. You don't defend yourself. You don't list everything you've done for them. You calmly say, your choices were your decisions. They were not my responsibility. This simple sentence removes the emotional weight they're trying to place on you. 7. The victim-hero flip. When someone turns their mistake into your fault, this is a psychological move people use when they don't want to take accountability. Here's how it works. They do something wrong, you call it out. Instead of apologizing, they suddenly become the victim, and somehow, you end up comforting them. Example, you say, what you said earlier hurt me. They respond, I'm such a terrible person. I guess nothing I do is ever enough. Suddenly the conversation is no longer about your feelings. Now it's about their suffering. They flipped the roles. You went from being hurt kids to becoming the caretaker. Is it always manipulation? No, sometimes it's insecurity. But the effect is the same. Your emotions get pushed aside. How to protect yourself. Say calmly, I understand you're upset, but we still need to talk about what happened. This keeps the focus where it belongs. 8. Soft gaslighting. When someone minimizes your reality without attacking it directly, unlike extreme gaslighting, soft gaslighting is subtle. It doesn't sound aggressive. It sounds reasonable. Are you sure that's what happened? I think you're overthinking it. You're being too sensitive. It wasn't that serious. These phrases seem harmless, even kind. But they do something dangerous. They make you question yourself. Soft gaslighting is more common than people think because it often comes from people who want to avoid conflict. But here's the truth. Your feelings are real simply because you felt them. How to defend yourself. Calmly say, this is how it felt to me, and my experience is valid. You're not arguing. You're not defending. You're reclaiming your reality. 9. Positive manipulation. When someone uses compliments to control you, not all manipulation feels negative. Some of it feels flattering. For example, you're so understanding, I knew you'd agree. You're such a generous person. That's why I asked you. You always help me. That's why you're the best. Sounds nice, right? But look closely. Each compliment contains an expectation. They're not admiring you. They're assigning you a role that benefits them. You feel pressure to live up to the compliment. How to protect yourself. Say, thank you. But I haven't decided yet. You break the hidden expectation without rejecting the compliment. 10. The time pressure trap. When urgency is used to break. Your boundaries. Humans make worse decisions under pressure. Psychological fact. That's why time pressure is one of the most widely used manipulation tactics. Examples. We need to decide right now. You're making this difficult. Hurry up. Urgency creates emotional stress. Gives emotional stress creates compliance. The trick works because your brain shifts from thinking mode to survival mode. And when stressed, the brain chooses the fastest option, not the best one. How to defend yourself. You eliminate the urgency by saying, if I need to rush, the answer is no. This instantly removes their ability to pressure you. 11. The identity trick. When someone uses your self-image against you, people know that identity is powerful. If I make you doubt your identity, I can make you act the way I want. Examples. I thought you were a loyal friend. So you're not the responsible type after all? I thought you were mature. They're not attacking the choice, they're attacking who you are. Most people respond emotionally because identity is deeply connected to the ego. How to protect yourself. Say, my identity is not defined by agreeing with you. This sentence creates an emotional boundary. You're not defending, you're refusing to play the game. 12. The over-apology move. When someone apologizes too much to shut you up, yes, apologies can be used as manipulation. Here's how. You try to discuss a problem. Instead of listening, the other person interrupts with, okay, fine, I'm sorry, happy now? I said sorry. Let's drop it. I apologized. What else do you want? They use the apology to shut down the conversation. Not to fix the issue, but to end the discomfort. Your feelings are ignored, and the cycle repeats. How to defend yourself. Say, thank you for apologizing. Now let's talk about the solution. This prevents them from using the apology as a shield. 13. The emotional lever. When someone uses your feelings against you, one of the most subtle manipulations is the emotional lever. It happens when someone uses your kindness, love, or empathy to guide your actions, without you realizing it. For example, I can't handle this without you. You're the only one who understands. Me, I don't know what I would do if you said no. These statements make you feel obligated. They don't ask, they influence through emotion. How to respond. Acknowledge, but don't comply automatically. I understand. I want to help, but I'll decide what I can do. You maintain empathy without losing control. 14. The constant comparer. When someone uses others to pressure you. This happens when someone frequently brings up other people as a benchmark for your actions. Why can't you be more like... Everyone else is doing this, why aren't you? I expected more from you considering. The tactic works because humans naturally compare themselves to others. Comparison triggers guilt, fear, and insecurity, all emotions that make you comply. How to defend yourself. Recognize the strategy. Your value is not relative to someone else. I understand the comparison, but my choices reflect my own priorities. 15. The reward and punishment switch. When kindness is conditional manipulative, people often use conditional behavior. They give praise, attention, or support when you do what they want and withdraw it when you don't. I'm proud of you for doing this. I don't think I can talk to you if you choose that. I really appreciate when you help me like this. This method creates unconscious conditioning. You start associating approval with compliance. How to respond. Focus on consistency in your behavior, not conditional rewards. I'll make my choice based on what's right for me, not based on approval. 16. False urgency plus flattery. A classic combination. Manipulators often combine two techniques, urgency and praise. You're really the only one who can fix this, but I need an answer right now. I know you're smart enough to handle this, so don't delay. Flattery lowers resistance. Urgency pressures decision-making. Combined, they're very effective. Defense. Pause. Breathe. Ask. I'll handle it in the right time frame. There's no need to rush. Taking control of your own pace removes their power. 17. Emotional hijacking. When someone triggers you to avoid logic. Sometimes people intentionally or unintentionally trigger your emotions so you react instinctively. You feel anger, guilt, or fear. Your brain switches from thinking mode to reactive mode. This tactic is powerful because emotions can override logic. Defense. Pause. Observe the feeling. Ask, am I reacting to the situation or to my emotion? This allows clarity and prevents manipulation. 18. The story shifter. When someone rewrites events to their benefit. People frequently change narratives in subtle ways. I told you. This was supposed to be done yesterday. Even if they said otherwise. I thought we agreed you'd handle that part. You promised, didn't you? Manipulators rely on memory's flexibility to control perception. Defense. Document important decisions. Keep your facts straight. Say calmly, this is how I remember it. Let's decide what to do now. 19. The undermining compliment. When praise is a subtle critique you might hear. You're actually smarter than I expected. I didn't think you could do it, but here we are. It feels like praise but subtly communicates doubt. Defense. Accept the compliment without internalizing the criticism. Thanks, I'm glad it worked out. Stay neutral emotionally. 20. Silent testing. When people watch your reaction before acting. Some people deliberately observe your reactions before revealing their true intentions. They say something ambiguous. They watch you respond emotionally. They adjust their next step based on your reaction. This tests your boundaries and resilience. Defense. Stay calm, maintain emotional consistency. Don't give clues about how deeply their words affect you. Control your emotional state. That's the real power. Conclusion: how to protect yourself without losing humanity. By now, you've learned 20 psychological truths about human behavior, subtle manipulation, and emotional influence. The key takeaways: awareness is power. Once you recognize patterns, they lose control over you. Boundaries are essential. You can be kind, empathetic, and human, but still protect your peace. Emotion is information, not control. Feelings are signals. They tell you what's happening. They don't dictate your actions. Pause before reacting. Reacting instantly under pressure is exactly what manipulators hope for. Stop. Observe. Respond consciously. Self-value is uncheckable. Your choices, your priorities, and your boundaries define your reality, not anyone else's attempts to influence you. Remember, you can interact with people, help them, and care deeply without being controlled by their tactics, guilt, or manipulation. Real power is calm, awareness, and consistency. Stay mindful, stay strong. And remember, the world becomes far less confusing when you understand the M.